Through the years, I've discovered certain and common, what I call pitfalls, perils, money falling through the cracks. I talked a lot about efficiency and maximizing resources because by doing so, just that, great value could be gained. It's looking at lost opportunity cost and ways to recapture. I just want to reiterate something that I said in another one of the workshops in this series. By not losing, we gain. It's just that simple, friends. First, let's take a look at low rate of return issues and idle money that's fallen through the cracks. Well, first of all, there's a problem when you have too much liquidity, too much money in cash, too much money in bank type assets like savings accounts, money markets, and CDs. Oh, it's necessary to have a solid financial cushion. You know, to have that safety zone of cash on hand that you feel comfortable with, but be reasonable about it. Put the rest of the money to work into something that matches your long-term objectives. A great way to assist you in this is by maintaining a home equity line of credit. If you have a home equity line of credit that's open at all times, that gives you access to $50,000, $75,000, then you don't have to maintain so much in cash in savings accounts in the bank, things like that have low yields on them. You can put that money to work instead. So check out that home equity line of credit. A third one is holding on to matured savings bonds. I'm sure a lot of you have savings bonds that you bought for your children, that you're holding on to in a bank box, perhaps savings bonds that your parents bought for you. Cash those puppies in. Put them to work into something that's going to grow for you long time, in the long term, and give you some serious opportunity. Don't hold on to them. It's dead weight in your portfolio. And then finally, owning unmanaged and disregarded coin and stamp collections. I know some of you have coin and stamp collections that you've inherited from relatives over the past that you really have no interest in. You don't really have much of an understanding of what's going on in those collections. Get rid of them. Find a reputable dealer. I can help you with that if you need that. But there's no point in you holding on to them. They're only going to be a bigger burden to your children when they inherit them than they are to you. So take action. Do something new with that asset. Here are some pitfalls that are due to careless portfolio strategy. I've talked a lot about the first one, not maintaining a portfolio that matches who you are based on your objectives and your particular risk tolerances. Here I'm back again to the conversation about your financial identity. What makes you tick financially? Make sure that all of your cylinders are firing together, and that everything that you are doing financially is working in unison. That's only going to happen if you have your financial identity correct. Secondly, trying to time the market. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely buying opportunities that we should take advantage of from time to time. But as far as trying to time the market and move in and out of the market in major ways, sooner or later, it will catch you. It will bite you. So avoid that. The third is forced sale of assets at an inappropriate time because of unplanned experience in your life, like a disability or a death or, perhaps losing your job. And so, friends, this is just a nuance of poor planning and lack of foresight. It all goes back to the power of the plan. And the last point here is not continuing to try to grow assets for your entire life. I've seen this time and time again, so much lost opportunity that people experience because they weren't being growth oriented enough when they had a long-term objective. And so, that chart of the S&P 500 that's in front of you there says it all. It's a rough and rocky ride, but it's definitely an upward trend, and it's going to continue to be that as time goes by. This next slide talks about examples of money falling through the cracks that involves fees and charges. And hey, friends, there are fees. We can't get around fees necessarily, but we can work to make sure that we're paying competitive fees, like brokerage fees, management fees, transaction fees on investments. Then there are bank fees, penalties and late fees that you might pay on insurance premiums or overdraft fees, penalties, late fees to the IRS. It just pays to focus on this, friends. It all adds up. It all adds up at the end of the day. And then how you structure your insurance premiums. There's a big difference between what insurance companies charge based on the method of payment that you use. So you need to carefully consider that from the various companies that you own and that you use. The final one is a real big issue, but it involves having low deductibles on your homeowners and your automobile when you can, in fact, afford to have higher deductibles and self-insure. And so, the older we get, the less accident prone we get and things like that. And so just make sure that you don't have money falling through the cracks on ineffective ways that you're managing your deductibles on your insurance. Here are unnecessary perils involving estate and charitable planning. Now I'm talking to y'all about this. However, it may be your parents who actually have the most exposure here. So good idea to check with your parents if they're elderly to make sure that they have, made provisions for their estate and so forth and so on. So, but first of all, it's obvious not having a will or having a will that's out of date. Estate laws change frequently. They are political tools, and estate laws change frequently. So not making sure that you're up to date on current law in your will. Not having up-to-date beneficiaries. I hope this will jog and prompt some of y'all watching this to think, I wonder if I changed my beneficiaries based on perhaps a divorce or perhaps some other issue that involves a family matter. But I see that quite often. I see minor children that are beneficiaries, which is a huge no-no. And then I see a lot of times a former spouse that will still be a beneficiary on a life insurance or a 401k or a pension plan, so forth and so on. So make sure that your beneficiaries are up to date. The third is assuming that a living trust solves a lot of taxes and transfer problems. I run into a lot of people who have living trusts. I'm going to talk more about living trust in our section on estate planning, but quality estate attorneys will tell you that for the most part, they're not necessary. Here's the fourth one, talks about not donating IRS assets directly to a charity to minimize taxes. Several years ago, the IRS changed the laws on required minimum distributions, and they now allow you to transfer that distribution directly to a qualified charity of your choice, rather than you taking receipt of it, paying taxes on it, and then making a donation to the charity. This is a much more effective way for you to give and to receive as well, because of the tax benefits that are available to you if you do it in this manner. And the last point on estate planning is not teaching your children about stretch IRA. Stretch IRA is a great way for them to extend the tax benefits of tax deferred growth when they inherit your IRAs. And I'm talking about traditional IRAs here, not Roth IRAs. But that's something that you'll need to speak to your children about, before you pass away, because they'll have to make that election themselves when they inherit that asset. But to that point of not teaching your children about stretch IRA, I just want to make the point, It's a serious oversight to not teach your children about estate planning, and to not bring your children up to speed and into the know about what your affairs are as far as what your wishes are with your estate and so forth and so on. It just does great things for families if they have a roundtable discussion about that type thing before it's needed. Our next slide talks about, here's a list of miscellaneous pitfalls that I've seen. Not being strategic with Social Security. Wow, what a no-no that is. I mean, Social Security is a powerful asset. You paid a lot of money for it. You should definitely maximize the benefits in your planning. The second is failing to effectively manage cash value life insurance. You know, cash value life insurance can be a very powerful asset. There are ways to withdraw and to borrow from those policies that are income tax free, and they can be a serious benefit in your retirement income plan if you know how to use them. Third is not periodically shopping your auto and homeowners insurance. You know, from time to time, every 3 or 4 years, shop it out. Look for more competitive rates. That's just money in your pocket that you'll be retaining if you do that. This is a biggie, failing for both spouses to not be involved in finances. It's so tragic, and I've seen it a few times in my career where only one spouse is in the know about the finances and they pass away, and the surviving spouse is in the dark and really just hamstrung, if you will, about their financial world. It adds such a burden that doesn't have to be there. So in some way, shape, or form or fashion, both spouses definitely need to be involved in the finances, particularly as you age. Reverse mortgage planning. Reverse mortgages have changed a lot in the last 5 years because of government regulation. Government got involved in a good way in a good way with reverse mortgages, so they can be a lifesaver for people who need to use those assets to sustain their lifestyle. So check out reverse mortgages, and you can consider them as being a part of your retirement plan. Pension maximization is a concept that would apply to you if you have a pension, and I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but if you do have access to a pension and you haven't retired yet, it'll pay you a lot to look into pension maximization strategy. I'll just say that. You need a specialist in that. I'm happy to help you if you'll give me a call. And then finally, not maximizing credit card use and credit card benefits. You know, credit cards can either be our friend or our foe. It's just that simple. And the system is that either we use them or they use us, and we can use them to great benefit. So if you'd like to have a conversation with me about strategies on that, I'm happy to talk to you about that. And then finally, I have a list here of what I consider to be dream killers. Okay, these are dream killers. So I just want to run through them. First of all is lack of a dream. Second only, followed by lack of a plan. Not taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Procrastination. One of the biggest mistakes in managing finances is procrastination. Next is unwillingness to adapt and accept as you age. You know, we move into different eras in life. I talked about accumulation era, utilization era, and then transference era. So think about that. Not cutting your children off financially, you know, when they're adult children, and not fostering financial independence. It's a benefit to them. It's a blessing to them if you'll undertake that. It's good for them. It may be hard for you to do, but it's going to be good for everybody ultimately when you take steps to do that. And then a biggie is outliving your money, and that's just a nuance of impractical planning. And then finally, too much media and fake news. I probably don't need to remind you of that. It's just, it's oppressive. I don't know any other way to say it. So turn that news off. Final question. Do you have areas where money is falling through the cracks? Are there pitfalls, perils, or dream killers that you need to address? Or, all of these issues are solvable, friends. Where is the inefficiency in your personal finances? It all adds up. Every dollar adds up, and it all matters. Let me encourage you in this. You can have some serious fun looking for and managing the pitfalls, perils, and the dream killers that are unique to your life. Go for it. Take on the challenge.